Hello, hope you're all having a good day. My name is Wayne Crossland, and welcome to today's webinar on bureaus, third-party payroll systems, and infinite cloud payroll for NetSuite. And the title is The True Cost of Payroll, which is for NetSuite. We will talk about how NetSuite customers process payroll for their employees and how doing it on platform can save you time and money. So today's webinar is scheduled to run for 30 minutes, depending on the demo part, which is about 10 minutes into it, may slightly go over. So just bear with me when I do that. That's the key part because I'll be showing you everything that what we get up to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the common issues experienced by over 750 of our own customers who previously outsourced their payroll to a bureau or used a third-party payroll system. And then we'll dive into a live demonstration to show you how easy it is to run payroll inside NetSuite, to highlight the benefits that are only available from doing this process on platform natively within NetSuite. But firstly, an announcement. So some of you may be aware, in May 2023, Infinite Cloud became part of the Zone & Co family. Now, Zone & Co is obsessed with making apps for NetSuite. And our goal is to improve the lives and efficiency of finance teams by eliminating time-intensive work in favor of automation. So Zone Apps provide groundbreaking automation features inside NetSuite, including billing, advanced revenue recognition, third-party payment integration, accounts payable, and more. So have a chat to us if any of those are of interest to you. Right, so a bit about us. The founders of Infinite Cloud previously worked for NetSuite out of Maidenhead in the UK in the early 2000s and identified back then that there was no on-platform solution or payroll solution for NetSuite. So subsequently formed Infinite Cloud in Australia in 2009 and expanded into the New Zealand and UK jurisdictions, and most recently Canada. So we have UK-based support and implementation teams supporting our UK customer base. We have over 750 customers globally supported by our Infinite Cloud team. We were one of the original Suite Cloud Developer Networks members back in 2010 and have been recognized as the SDN International Partner of the Year, both in 2014 and 2020. What this means is that we are certified, tested, and held accountable by NetSuite. And most importantly, we only work with NetSuite customers. You'll notice on the right a reference to suiteapp.com. So suiteapp.com is the NetSuite SDN partner website. Our customers have also made us the highest rated native Suite app globally. And I encourage you to find us there and read the references. These customers have all been through the payroll journey, and we've put a lot of effort into our implementation and ongoing support to ensure that all of our customers are happy and have gained the most out of our Suite app. They're all referenceable, and we'd be happy to introduce you to them at some point in the future at the appropriate time. Moving on, so here's some of our UK customers. We have customers from manufacturing, finance, R&D, through to consulting and IT. We are a horizontal application, and we range in size from our smallest, which is 10 employees, up to our largest, which is Tilney Smith & Williamson, or Evelyn Partners as they're called now, who have over 3,800 employees. And we have the only Premier League NetSuite customer who's also using our payroll, Luton Town. So moving on to the next slide. So let's start discussing the webinar topic. So there are three options for NetSuite customers that they have when it comes to running payroll. You have either the option of outsourcing to a bureau or an accountancy firm, could be a third-party payroll solution, or it could be Infinite Cloud NetSuite payroll on platform. And the points I will be making are based on our experience in migrating our customers onto our payroll Suite app, who of course were previously either outsourcing their payroll to a bureau or had a third-party solution alongside their NetSuite system. So, there are good reasons for a business to outsource. So option one, bureaus outsourcing your payroll. There are good reasons to outsource. They may need redundancy and reliability because they don't have the in-house resources, which also means they may not be up to date on the law and requirements for running payroll. Or, it might not be a strategic business function. It can also be offered as an add-on service by your accountants and thus be very cost effective. But the reality is that when you outsource, you may spend more time than you realize in the many manual processes involved in liaising with the Bureau. New starters, leavers, variances, reconciling reports and approvals, last minute changes, which I know cause a nightmare, and importing or creation of journals, which are often going to be a single line item cost with little to no detail. And then off the back of that, produce meaningful reports that break down costs across departments, locations, projects, customers, and so on. And these are just some of the tasks that need to be performed. For most, much of the admin is still on your team to manage. And as the data lives outside of NetSuite, this can result in clear gaps within your core financial system. These are considerable concerns, especially when the buck still ultimately stops with you, the employer, in the case of any issues or errors. So what are the reasons why our customers chose to bring their payroll in-house? Well, they wanted more control over the pay run process. They wanted real-time, accurate, detailed reporting and visibility of their largest cost and the ability to view and manage this in the same way they do other costs inside their NetSuite finance system. And they wanted more detail in their journals. That complexity in their payroll that exceeded the capabilities of the Bureau. Well, they wanted to streamline their payroll processes and free up valuable resources to do more with less. And we help them achieve this by automating these processes. We use the power and functionality of NetSuite to remove the time-consuming and often complex parts of the pay run process, which just become natural outputs of performing the tasks you would have to do anyway. So the second option, using a third-party payroll system. So this is where you've got a payroll system that sits outside of NetSuite. And this can provide businesses with a potentially cheaper option. And as there are no considerations such as the general ledger impacts or data consolidation, this can seem quite simple, especially if there's a nice, easy on the eye user interface. It also gives you more control than a bureau, as you can manage or enter, manage, and manipulate the payroll data on your own terms. However, keeping this data in sync, whether it is employee details or the financial impact once the payroll is approved, is a key challenge, which is compounded if the software being used is not cloud-based or sits in a server. The impact of disparate systems or having to update the software yourself is another one of those time sinks that our customers didn't realize they had. It's only when they had those systems taken away and put onto our system that they realized how much time it actually took them to run their payroll processes. And this is a key reason to bringing payroll on platform. The increased control and harmonization of systems almost eliminates the admin that would otherwise be required when keeping two systems in sync. It also enhances the return on investment of your NetSuite instance, as you will benefit from the reporting, uptime, and reliability of NetSuite. And by processing payroll, something you're going to have to do anyway, upon approval, you'll get detailed and penny accurate journals at the click of a button, plus enhanced reporting that you can now slice and dice using standard NetSuite reporting functionality. And you'll see this in the demo when we get to that. Not to mention all the updates required each year to keep up to date with NetSuite functionality and all the legislative compliance requirements as well. So this is all within an environment you are already familiar with, using a skill set you are already invested in, which is NetSuite. So let's get into a demo. So let's move over here. Hopefully you can still see my screen. Please pop up in the question if you can't. I'm just going to move that over there. Okay, so we're going to look at the NetSuite or the InfoCloud NetSuite payroll suite app. Now, we're a native suite app, which means that we are 100% inside your NetSuite instance. Okay, we're not separate to it. You won't even know the difference that it's our NetSuite functionality running versus NetSuite itself, and that has always been our goal. So we're looking at this through the eyes of the payroll administrator. Obviously, you may have other roles as well. You could be a suite people, which is NetSuite's HR platform manager. But today we're going to be in the payroll administrator role. So everything I'm going to show you here is through the eyes or the lens of the payroll administrator. Obviously, being inside NetSuite, being native, we conform to all of NetSuite's normal user functionality. We've got global search functionality up the top here. We've got our recent records. We've got our favorites. And we've done our best to take advantage of all the NetSuite functionality available to us. Now, this is my home screen or my dashboard, and it's payroll centric. And I've got on my screen a whole lot of tabs that give me an indication of what's going on in my payroll for this particular month. So I'm going to get context, and it's going to change. So you're going to see here, I've got a scorecard. This is just driven out of standard NetSuite save search functionality. Skill sets you're most likely going to have. Where I've got, it's a fairly simple one. I've got gross pay and commissions broken down, but this month, last month, this fiscal quarter, last fiscal quarter, it's going to be a total. And as I process pay run, once it's approved, these figures are going to be updated. Likewise, I've got a departmental costing report here as well. Once again, these figures, when I approve this pay run, they're going to change to reflect that. Then I've got all my pay elements, so broken down into the various parts, bonuses, commissions, could be statutory maternity pay, could be all sorts of things, but it gives you that ability to dive deep into that and report on that. Because one of the things I have seen with a lot of our customers is they want to understand what their pay elements are over a period of time. Are they increasing, decreasing, which ones are, which ones aren't? This is the benefit of having a payroll system inside your core finance system, because we are live and we're all referencing the same unified NetSuite database, which drives all of this financial reporting. Over here on the left, I have a reminders portlet, probably the most important thing when it comes to payroll, because it is here that I'm going to see any updates that occur. So I may have, for example, the HMRC data provisioning service, the DPS service, sending me through tax code updates or student loan updates, which I can then action if necessary. I may be the approver for time if time is not already approved before it gets to payroll. I may have some new employees that have come through from an HR system, and we can talk to Suite People, which is NetSuite's own on-platform HR system that just flows seamlessly through. If you've got an external HR system, then we can import the data that reflects any changes that are made in payroll, including new starters or leavers or any other changes for that matter. And they will appear in here and allow you to manage those changes on a day-to-day basis. As we're moving down, I have some one-off payments for processing. So this is for the pay run I'm going to do, which I've actually set for next month. So it gives me the context as to what's going on that may be slightly out of the ordinary. Now, the advantage of having everything on platform, you may have other roles within the system that have responsibility for, say, looking after where people's departments are or locations are or what class they're in. People can manage parts outside of payroll, which are just going to flow through into the payroll system for processing. So you can run a system where you've got various people responsible for different items, but ultimately it's all going to come to payroll. But it's not the double handling or duplication of work or all those manual processes that you have when you're running a bureau or where you have a third-party payroll system. So here we've got all our one-off payments for processing. So Hallie's on statutory maternity pay. I've got to pay Ray a bonus for August. Same with Roger. I've got some notes I can tag against each employee as well. So likewise, if it's HR, you might want to notify that payroll that there's some new benefits of kind or some commission that's got to be dealt with. I've got a leave calendar view here. So this is if you are running our leave management module. That is part of our bundle. And actually, I should have mentioned right at the start, we are deploying our software as a bundle into your NetSuite account, and it is fully managed. So we'll keep all of the tax codes, any legislative requirements up to date. We'll make sure that it conforms with all the NetSuite's functionality, and we do two of those. We do two major rollouts a year in line with April tax year, but also NetSuite's release in September. So that's our bundle, and then our bundle includes leave management functionality, but it is a separate module that we charge for. I've got some other things down here. I've got some auto enrollment dates, and I've got a list of my employees. Now, your particular payroll administrator dashboard might look a bit different, and one of the key things we want to do when we go through a project is work with you to figure out what is it that you need to see that's going to make your life easier. Right, so that's the dashboard. What I'm going to do is move to an employee record. And this is the central actor within the payroll solution itself. So this is a standard NetSuite unified employee record. If you're running NetSuite, you've got these in your system. They're already there. All we've done is we've added additional payroll functionality to it. Down here, these 5 tabs, you've got payroll, tax, super, leave, which is our leave management, and bank details. Those are our tabs, and they are only visible to the payroll administrator or the system administrator. No one else can see that, right? And this is where we drive all of the payroll, all of their payroll profiles from. But firstly, we've got obviously the name, salutation. Then we've got, from an HR perspective, their birth date, hire date, and the agenda. Those are the things we need to enroll with HMRC, and that will just happen once you get that information. That will go through to HMRC as a new enrollment, and you may have some declaration forms or P45s that you can complete or fill out the information that they need. If it's not correct, they will come back to you pretty quickly through that data provisioning service and let you know that there's something that needs to be adjusted. Now, all of these fields can also be accessible by other people. So if you have an HR team that is responsible for setting department class location, when they do that, it's just going to flow through all in real time because we're all in the same unified database. Right, so department class location. This is a core bit of functionality that starts to separate us from a third-party payroll system or a bureau, because these are going to form the home bucket of costs for your staff when we process payroll. That gives us the ability to slice and dice using NetSuite's reporting functionality. If I move straight down to the bottom here and I go to our payroll tab, you'll see all the pay elements that make up the various remuneration for this particular employee, who happens to be Kevin. So I've got salary and wages, I've got deductions going on, I've got some statutory sick pay going on, I've got allowances, salary sacrifice, pensions, you name it. There's all sorts going on with Kevin. But what I really want to highlight is if you look at each pay element, over on the far right, I've got a P&L expense account. This is all driven straight out of NetSuite. Right, there's no duplication, it's already in the system, and it makes it very easy for us to now start segmenting or pointing these where they need to go. And I'm just going to give you an example of a pay component subtype. And we have in the order of 200 odd in the system at the moment, and I was going to choose bonus, because what I want to do is highlight how easy it is to control how we deal with these pay component subtypes. So here's a bonus here. I can decide if it's taxable. I can decide if it goes towards your pension. I can decide if it's nickable. I can also decide whether it goes towards reference rates calculation for your enhanced holiday pay if you are running that. Is it nickable? So we've got this ability to get really granular control over each pay component subtype, which once set up and configured in the system, back in our employee fields here, then we can control everything. So by default, when my employee has salary and wages set up, it's going to go to the salary and wages expense code. However, some of you may have a situation where you don't want that to happen. This is another unique to our system. So we have the ability to reallocate those expenses to different nominal codes. Now, Kevin is a director, okay? I don't want his salary and wages going to normal salary and wages code. So I've got the ability to go in and override these settings down here on a per pay element basis and point them to somewhere else. So now I'm going to move all of Kevin's salaries, his bonuses, his overtime into director's salary account. but I might not want to do overtime because I'm quite happy for that to stay somewhere else. So we use that ability to be able to control on either a per employee basis or on a group basis. I can also decide, well, actually, Kevin's not the director. I want to put him towards cost of goods sold. So I can come down here and I can choose COGS. Oops, there we go. Cost of goods sold. Now, if I select that, let's just save that for now. Just give you the example so you'll see the changes that can occur. Okay, cost of goods sold. Now moving them to different codes, right? And this allows me then to get really granular in the way I structure my general ledger and chart of accounts. Going back to Kevin, so we talked about that. We also have another ability where we can reallocate costs based on a percentage basis. So Kevin does spend time between different departments, or it might be different locations, or you might be using the class classification or a custom segment. So using percentages, I can reallocate these costs at the end of the pay run and create journals off the back of that to reflect back into your P&L and general ledger. This can be time-based. If you're running projects, for example, where you are capturing time against a particular project, or department, or a class, or a location, whatever that may be, or a service item, whatever it is, we can reallocate based on that. So once again, these are the areas where you're going to save so much time compared to running an external payroll system, certainly from running a bureau. Could you imagine the amount of work that would go backwards and forwards if you're starting to reallocate costs to a bureau and then expecting to have back journals that are going to reflect that? It's just not going to happen. Right, so that's our pay components there. We also have all of Kevin's previous pay slips. Often that happens. Can I have my past pay slip, please? No problem at all. We've also got the ability to look at the tax side of it. This is where the tax codes go. We can support the various directors, national insurance methods. We can support student loans, postgraduate loans, apprenticeship levy, even IR35, if that still hangs around. We'll create P60s for the employee, and we also support the old traditional P11D benefits in kind or payroll benefits in kind as well. Right, I'm ripping through this pretty quickly, so I hope you're all keeping up with me. So that's the employee record. I'm now going to dive into a pay run to give you a look about at what a pay run actually looks like. So I'm just going to get rid of some of these. So at the point of running a pay run, you'll simply come in here, you'll select payroll activity, start new pay run. Okay, it's going to bring you to the screen here. I've already pre-populated it. And what we're going to do is run a pay run for these 5 people. I've got standard or adjustment. Obviously, adjustment is if you've already done your pay run and reported to the HMRC, you need to do some last minute changes using the adjustment run. I'm going to use auto pay because I want to skip a whole lot of steps. And when I submit that, that's going to bring me through to here. Now, when I say skip a whole lot of steps, that was where we initiate. In the middle here is time and variables. So the assumption is that any time that's coming through from a HR system or a clocking in system or a TNA system or any variables or any changes have already been approved before they get to payroll. You can approve them within the payroll process, but I want to get to the point of processing and doing that. So at this point, what I've done is I've processed. So I've got all of my staff here, employees, with their correct tax codes, their tax deductions, any overtime, any variances, any balance, any variations, all those sorts of things. When I decide to approve that, we will get to that. But before we do, I've got access to some reports. And these reports can vary from customer to customer. One of the most popular is the variance report here. Why is it different from this month to last month? Kelly's got a bit of a gap there. We can highlight that because it's within outside of a 10% tolerance. Let's go and have a look and see why that is the case. I may have access to the payment summary report, like a gross to net, and I can look at all the various elements that make up the pay for these employees. I can export that if I wish. I've also got a pension export. So the way we work with pensions is we'll create a CSV file that you'll upload into your pension portal. So here I've got Nest. It's a Nest format. Sometimes that varies from customer to customer, but it's one of the key things that we will test. Oh, it's not opening up. Let's try that one there. Okay, and this is the format that Nest uses as well. So whatever that format is, it's one of the key things we test when we implement. So going back to our pay run, Right, so I'm at the point where I'm happy with that. I want to approve it. So when I press approve, it'll go off to the approver. They'll get a link to the screen here. They've got their reports. At any point, I can go back and review payslips. I can change payslips. I can change individual pay elements on payslips. I can roll back to any point. I can take people out, or I can add people in. So a lot of control over the payroll process itself. But let's go to approve. So I'm going to click on approve, and that's going to take me to this screen here. Now, at this point, what I would have done is created some journals that are just happening because you're just running a payroll process. We're going to create a bank file because that's how you're going to pay your staff. And we're going to create a whole lot of pay slips here as well, which you can download en masse, or you can look at individually if you wish. So let's have a quick snapshot of a journal. Once again, this is the key area. The big difference between what we can do and any other payroll system or provider out there is the detail that we provide in the journals. And this all flows through part of your normal journal approval process, but these are the areas that take a lot of time. But it's also the areas that allow us to produce these detailed reports for you so that you can look at your costs across your department, class, location, classifications, or your projects, or your customers, or whatever reports that you need. So here I've got, this is a standard, most common setup. Got the accounts there on the left. You can see here department, class, location flowing through. That's that multi-dimensional capability of NetSuite we have to slice and dice the reports. Then I've got my debits over here, so I'm pushing some off to liability accounts or clearing accounts. I've got some going to HMRC. There may be vendors associated with payroll, like a council, for example, or childcare vouchers, whatever that may be. So I've created the posting journal. And then likewise, I've also created a payment journal as well, which is going to create the bank file off the back of that and send things through to clearing accounts as well. So a lot of control we have over journals, and that's the big differentiator that we do offer. Right, so at this point, I would have created the pension reports. I would have created pay slips. I've got the reports I need from a finance team perspective to look at my costs, and it's got to approved. It's all been done. Last step we need to do is report to HMRC. So simply go in here, initiate the FPS. This is going to bring its way off to the HMRC test gateway. Okay, allow me to submit the reports. And there's a couple of key things I want to show you here that also make a difference. So we'll submit that. We're going to get a GovTalk message back, which gives us a correlation ID of the exact submission to HMRC and also the XML data that we've submitted. So if we ever have any queries or you have any issues with HMRC, we know exactly what's been submitted. Once I poll that, that'll complete the loop. They've told us it's all good to go. Then the last thing I need to do is create the employment payment summary for any statutory recoverables off the back of it. I've got 1 minute left, so I'm going as quick as I can. I'll see a couple of questions popping up, and I will do my best to answer them. If I can't answer them in the time frame, could you please email them? I'll give you those details shortly. So we've created our EPS for our statutory recoverables. That's gone. And then the last thing you need to do from a reconciling perspective, come in here, have a look at your P32, and then what you'll find is that on a period by period basis, these totals should match the HMRC liability in their gateway. Sometimes it differs for credits and other reasons as well, but that's for that. Right, so we've run the pay run process. So what I'm going to do is just dive out of here and get back to our PowerPoint. I see 2 questions popping in. Right, so before we get to questions, I just want to summarize what I've shown you today. So managing payroll and the administration associated with it in NetSuite is a complex task, but there are options available to streamline and optimize the process. Now, although payroll bureaus and third-party solutions do have their advantages, overall, they create a very manual process for finance teams to manage and provide little insight into payroll costs. Our Suite app, Infinite Cloud Suite app, it's native and it's a comprehensive solution that alleviates almost all of the unnecessary manual tasks associated with payroll by automating the process and providing one single source of truth for all financial data living in NetSuite. That is a biggie, right? We're in the same system. And this allows for more enhanced reporting capabilities within NetSuite and more time for businesses to focus on wider strategic business decisions. And I'll keep harping on about the reporting. That is the biggest thing that people notice when we deploy our payroll into a customer, is for them now having that ability to see where their costs are going. Right, last slide before I'll answer some of the questions. So here's some considerations when you're looking at reviewing your payroll. How much time you spend managing payroll internally. Does the current payroll admin cost deliver value? Does the output align with or enhance your investment in NetSuite? Some good reasons why you bought NetSuite in the first place. Could the process be optimized if you had the same level of automation and configuration in your payroll as you do with your core NetSuite solution? And this is a big one. How do you truly calculate the costs and margins of your products and services when you can't report on the detail on your payroll costs as part of your core financial reporting? So some things to consider, and we love chatting to customers about these. So what I'll do now, here's my contact details, or you're welcome to email uksales@infinitecloud.com or directly to me. Excuse the difference, we're all Zane & Co. And I'll be happy to answer your questions. So let's see what we've got. Are we able to create and configure our pay and deduction elements as needed? Yes, you are. You have total control over that, as I showed you earlier on, and you can do that at any point in the process. Is there an integration available for any HRIS system that is not sweepable? Yes, there is. You have a lot of the HR systems out there have APIs, and for NetSuite as well. So that's one way of doing it. We always start with the CSV process first because it is virtually bulletproof. It's very straightforward. And if an API was to break, you'd have to revert to a CSV process anyway. So we start with that. And then if you've got the APIs for your HR system, then connect that to NetSuite. So the integration is between the HR system and NetSuite, not us. We're just a part of NetSuite, and we'll pick up the appropriate information that's that's going backwards and forwards between HR and NetSuite and payroll. Okay, are there any other questions out there? All right. Okay. Well, based on that, I'd like to thank you for all your time today. And yeah, I hope you have a good day. And by all means, come back to us if you have any questions. We will send you a recording as well, a copy of the recording. But please contact us if you need to discuss anything in particular. Brilliant. Okay. Well, thank you very much and have a nice day.